Hi guys, over the past few years as a sales professional, I've actually sold products worth more than £1,000,000, and that's because I actually sell high ticket stuff. So what that means is that there are things that I do to be able to get this success, and that's not being pushy or being salesy or someone that goes about like someone that doesn't know what it does. All this thing that I've done have actually been done through a consistent, structured approach that have always worked for me in a lot of situations. So today I'm going to be sharing with you some of those things that I've actually done, and I think that if you pay attention to today's video, you're going to be able to pick one or two things that you can actually leverage on in your business. So if you're yet to subscribe to this channel and you're joining us for the very first time, I want to encourage you to go ahead and hit that subscribe button, as we bring you lots of content that will help you to 10x your business and help to better perform as a sales professional. So one of the things that I've discovered is that sales is an intentional approach. For you to consistently sell and get customers coming to buy from you, there has to be things that you're doing. And as a sales professional, for you to always do well, you also have to have a deliberate system by which you go about doing what you do. And so as a sales professional, I've actually had things that I've done consistently that have helped me to continue to deliver sales and increase the revenue. Most of the things that I always sold to them are high capital equipment. And that has always helped me to be able to build lots of solid relationships with people that are high profile, either in the hospital setting or in the life science space. Now, I'm going to be sharing with you 7 of the proven tactics that have consistently helped me. Now, the first tactic is prospecting. This is something that I like so much because I've realized that as a sales professional, if you want to actually spend your time where it matters, you need to know the people that you need to be spending your time with. And so what prospecting does for you is that it helps you to sieve out the people who don't really matter and the people that matter to what you're trying to do. And one of the ways that I've gone about this is by researching the people that I need to go and speak to about my product, or people that I can send cold emails to, or people that I can schedule one-on-one visits to discuss what I'm actually selling. And so oftentimes I go about trying to research, for example, let's say hospital owners or people that run diagnostic labs, or who are the lab managers in these various research institutions. I try as much as possible to gather their data, and I try as much as possible to see how I can book one-on-one meeting with them to understand what their needs are and how I can support them further. This is a very important step in my sales approach. The second thing that I do is what I call consultative selling. This is a process where I try as much as possible to understand what the customer's needs are. A lot of times you realize that if you don't know what people need, you might just be selling to them things that don't really matter, or you might not be able to even maximize the sale. So let me give you an instance. If you have someone who comes to you and wants to buy a gift for his wife, now one of the things that you need to realize is that beyond just buying that gift, the real need behind what that person is trying to do is actually maybe trying to put a surprise for his wife, or to do something that will actually wow her. And so you might be in a position to better even advise the person that aside this thing that you want to buy, there are other things that you can do that can wow your wife. And in that situation, what you've been able to do is that you've not only sold to the customer, but you've given him an opportunity to understand how it can also wow her. And you might also have products that can also be added into that mix that can give him better experience. And so with consultative selling, you have the capacity to understand the full picture of what your customers need, and you can better even upsell to them in that situation. And what happens is that oftentimes they might even come back to you for more advice. The third thing that I also do is to also try and see how my products can help them increase revenue. Because I deal a lot with private hospital owners, one of the things that I often encounter is a situation whereby some of them are looking for how to better maximize the revenue within their hospital system. And so what I try to do is that I go in and I ask them, in your lab, you want to actually do more laboratory tests for your patients. So one of the things that you can do is that if we buy this equipment that can afford you the opportunity to do this test, you can improve and get more revenue from your patients. And what I do in that situation is that I try as much as possible to do a detailed analysis for them of how that equipment can help them to increase revenue. and improve the output from their hospital. So this is one of the things that I do for my customer that helps them to also keep coming back to me. Now, the fourth thing that I also do is ability to handle objection. In every sale, you often encounter either a competition, or the customer might be dealing with pricing, or the customer is trying to deal with trust, or the customer is trying to deal with maybe the timing in which they are going to be able to deliver that product to them. And so you must be able to understand all these things when you're trying to speak to your customer. And one of the ways that I approach handling objection is that from the get-go, I try as much as possible to take an offensive approach. So what that means is that in my conversation with the customer, I address some of those things bit by bit. For example, I might even speak to how my product has actually done well in a situation whereby they're trying to compare it with another competition. I might also speak to things around timing, or I might even speak to things around trust and say, okay, for example, if you need to actually confirm that this product works, I can give you the number of XYZ customer who you can double check with. And in that conversation I'm already addressing some of the questions that the customer might have. And in such a situation, you're not in a defensive mode, but you have actually taken an offensive approach. And that often helps me to be able to drive the conversation smoother. The fifth thing that I also do is what I call creation of urgency. There are times whereby I would need the customer to understand why they need to go ahead to buy that product. So what I do is that I expound on the problem. I make them see why that problem needs to be solved. Because if they don't see why it needs to be solved, it might affect more things. So in trying to do that, what I'm doing is to create a sense of urgency and make the customer appreciate the value that I'm trying to bring to them by expounding on the problem and telling them how that problem might go ahead to affect other things if it's not attended to. The sixth thing that I do is to follow up effectively. In following up effectively, one of the things that I realize is that a lot of people would often go to customers and say, oh, Mr. Customer, when are you going to buy? But one of the things that I've realized that follow-up is better done when you even offer value. So for instance, I could say to the customer that, oh, last week I actually sold this product to a different customer and they are currently enjoying it. If you need to get reviews, I can actually connect you with them and you might ask them about how the product is doing. Or I might go ahead to say, oh, are there other people that you think I need to speak to about this product? Or do you think that there are other questions that you want me to help you answer that can help you move ahead? So I try as much as possible to bring a value when I'm trying to follow up on the customer rather than just asking about that business. By so doing, you are giving the customer more reason to consider you for that sale. The last thing that I always do is to ensure that I ask for the sale. And what do I mean by this? After speaking to the customer and telling them about what you can do, you must demonstrate to them that you can fulfill their order. And what that means is that I could go ahead to say, oh, when do you think you want this item to be delivered to you? Or when do you think you have the finances to be able to go ahead with this? Or how soon do you want this, to be shipped into your warehouse? Or what do you think will be the major hindrances for you to go ahead to buy this? What I'm trying to do is to ask for the sale. Or I could say, oh, are you going to be going ahead to buy from me right now? In so doing, you're making the customer realize that you can actually fulfill this order and you're the right person that they can do this business with, and you're not afraid to do this business for them. So some of these things that I've actually explained in today's video are things that I've always used and have helped me in great measure. Now, one of the things I want to say to you is that you might not need to do everything that I've said. You can just take one of it, and as you go into this week, try and action it and see if it will make a difference in your sales approach. If you have enjoyed today's video and you think you'd like to share this with as many people that you think this will be beneficial to, kindly go ahead to do so. And I would like you to watch our next video as shown above. Thank you so much for staying tuned to today's video. See you next time.